I will discuss about sampling design. So what is sampling design? So first, what is sample? Whenever you conduct a research, you need data, specifically quantitative data. And through observational surveys or from secondary data, you choose where or to whom your data will be come from. So that what is sample. So when choosing it's important to choose something design because based on what something design you choose from, it will decide the result of your research. So next, things that should be explained right from research. First, the size of the population. Determining the size of the population research. It will be about a specific year level or from a specific section of the department. Study population and the type of technique or sampling used, whether pure random sampling, systematic random sampling, stratified random sampling, cluster sampling, or combination of two or more techniques. So first, what is size of the population? It is, as this name implies, size of the population. How big or how small the target population of your research. Determining the sample size to be selected is an important step in any research study. For example, let us suppose that some researcher wants to determine equivalence of eye colors in school children who wants to conduct a survey. Next, study population. It is in conducting the research, the population must have a common interest or have a specific characteristic. It can be age, sex, or health condition. Next. These are the different types or examples of sampling design. Sampling design can be probability sampling or non-probability sampling. Below probability samplings are simple random sampling, stratified random sampling, proportional stratified random sampling, systematic random sampling, and cluster sampling. And below non-probability sampling are convenience sampling, total sampling, purposive sampling, and slope sampling. So first, probability sampling methods allow the researcher to be precise about the relationship between the sample and the population. This means that you can be absolutely confident about whether your sample is representative or not. And you can also put a number on how certain you are about your findings. This is called log significance. Next. So first, what is simple random sampling? So simple random sampling is just random picking of within the population. For example, in a classroom, random sampling is just choosing different people from the section. Next, researchers therefore develop an alternative method which is stratified random sampling. For example, in a class, when you give a survey, you just random picking a student. But with stratified random sampling, you give at least, or for example, 2 papers each rows. That's what is random sampling. Stratified random sampling. Next. Proportional stratified random sampling takes the same proportional of each stratum, but again suffers from the disadvantage that their groups could be hardly represented. Non-proportional stratified sampling therefore takes a larger sample from the smaller strata to ensure that there is large enough sample for each strata. Thus, stratified random sampling, you give at least 2 papers, but with proportional stratified sampling, you enlarge the stratum of where you can take your research. By making it 5 each rows, make it proportional within each rows. And with systematic random sampling, the best example is when the class is arranged in alphabetical order and just by making numbers are by spacing order by 8 or by 9, you choose the next person to take the research. Cluster stuffing is designed to address problems of a widespread geographical population. Random sampling from a large population is likely to lead to high cost of access. This can be overcome by dividing the population into clusters, selecting only 2 or 3 clusters in sampling communities. For example, if you wish to find out about the use of transport in urban areas in the UK, you could randomly select just 2 or 3 cities and then sample fully within these. Then non-probability sampling. Using non-probability sampling method, it's not possible to say what is the probability of any particular member of the population being sampled. Although this does not take sample, but researchers using such samples cannot be as confident in drawing conclusion about the whole population. The examples of non-probability sampling are convenience sampling. For your own convenience, you just use random people to take the research. That is the example of convenience sampling. Next, photo sampling. Photo sampling divides the population into categories and then select from within categories until a sample of the chosen size to take within the category. Some market researchers this type, which is why researchers often ask for range. For photo sampling, you choose at least, or for you gave at least a category. For example, for women aged 18 to 25, that is the purpose of your research. Purpose of sampling is where the researcher only approaches people who meet certain criteria and then checks whether they meet other criteria. So purpose of sampling, if your research is all about a beauty product, of course you choose women or ladies, and then choose the age appropriate for the research. For example, 18 to 25 or 18 to 29 years old. And then within those categories, if any individual belongs to the categories, you take the research. And for snowball sampling is where the researcher starts one person who is their criteria, and then uses that person to identify others. This works well when you sample as their specific criteria. So for snowball count, when you're taking a research, you meet a person, and then after you conduct the research to that person or to that individual, you ask them for their recommendation or to recommend you to their peers so that you can finish your research. And that's all. Thank you.